Red.
Welcome back to Redacted Party Chat. I'm Brandyn with a fully charged phone, here to host for Case 7. Joining me today is Platinum Assassin, Sir Vaughn. How are you?
I'm good. I'm freezing my ass off because it's wintertime, and I hate it.
Dude, it came out of nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere. Yeah. Also joining us, as always, to complete this holy tripod, the man, the myth, the marine, Sir Adrian. Sir, how you doing, man?
Doing good. I second that. It was snowing inside my place of work today, so I absolutely feel that cold. I'm ready for it, but my spirit is weak right now. So I gotta metaphorically warm myself up so I can deal with being cold all the fucking time for the next, next 4 months, 5 months possibly.
Oh, dude.
Then I could bitch about it being hot.
Yeah. There will be complaining.
They're one way or another. You're getting some.
There will be. All right. Yeah, let's hop right into it. Also, Vaughn will put our socials on one of these corners here somewhere.
Your left.
One of these days, we're going to figure out the right way to point.
Yeah, somewhere. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Apple, Spotify. Like, subscribe, give us feedback, all that.
Please.
I've got a bunch of pigeons. If you'd like me to send you a transcript that way, just let me know.
Yeah, message in a bottle. Keep an eye on them shorelines. All right, let's get started with what have we been playing? Let's see. Adrian, what you been playing?
Yay, me. So I've been playing Unicorn Overlord still. Great game. I really don't have anything to say on it more than I've already said because I feel like I kind of gushed really hard last time, which is totally I'm totally happy with that. That game is beautiful. It's the narrative is a solid. It's nothing groundbreaking or crazy, but it is just a fun, decently written narrative. It's got a system in it that I'm starting to see more now that I'm kind of getting along in the game, like the rapport system. So as you have characters play, and nothing so far has revealed anything like serious story wise, but like as you have your characters are set in squads. You have to make individual squads for all your characters, and every time you do a battle and finish like a stage, the rapport goes up amongst all the members of that specific squad. So after so long, you can unlock a dialogue. Like you find them on the map, and then those two characters will interact in a special way. It just kind of helps you explore the characters as characters, kind of how they interact amongst each other, because just obviously they're from different backgrounds, different belief systems, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool just to kind of see them interact in that way, because the whole concept is, your allies, essentially not against your will in the sense that anybody's like being forced to do it, but pretty much, everybody's putting their differences aside to step up. And it's kind of just being forced into that close proximity with somebody who you may not share the same values with, or who you share equal values with, like seeing like was it Clive, the knight on horseback, and Hodrick, the royal knight, who's pretty much a legend to anybody that uses a spear. And they have their interaction where he's like teaching him how to. It's fun. It's fun. I like that kind of stuff. It kind of brings the world and the characters to life a little bit more. I started into the dragon area. I could choose between elves and dragons. There's wyvern riders. Not only from a gameplay perspective has pretty much any flighted unit seem to be OP. To a lot of other units. I fuck they're riding dragons, dude. That's like the coolest. It's easily in the top 5 coolest concepts in any setting is riding anything draconic. So yeah, I'm playing that, and then finally got Battlefield 6. Super fun. In the it took me back as everybody's been saying it would. Time to kill isn't atrocious. Couple little glitchy moments here and there. I had one where like I was going to revive somebody, and at the finish of my revive, it finished, but it wouldn't let me let them go. So I was just standing there with a body, and the revive meter wasn't going. So I just had to wait for somebody to come around the corner and put me out of my misery because I would not stop hugging the rabbits, Lenny. So that was it wasn't anything earth shattering. I mean, if you've played a Battlefield game, like I'd say specifically Battlefield 4, it's kind of the return to roots in that sense, that more modern warfare aesthetic, not the game, but actual what modern warfare would kind of look like with the weaponry and equipment we have at our disposal, and my I guess in terms of the only things I would really have to gripe about, and I could probably get more in depth. I was trying to put some time into the campaign, just to kind of get like a more impressions of it. It is your standard boilerplate Call of Duty or Battlefield-esque campaign. You are the hero soldiers gunning down what would be genuinely enough enemies to cripple any armed force that I know of. Like I love that those games, and I get it, that's not the point, but those games really never address kind of just the damage you are doing. It's like per level, you are straight up wiping out like a company of people. And it's like just 3 missions worth of you doing that would drastically change the tide of the war in that region. Like that's and it's like 3 dudes. It's like 3 people doing that. It's like there's no way they wouldn't, like, something would have to be up. Like they would I'll be up keep it a buck if you told me 3 dudes slaughtered like 200 some guys, and not in like a Simo Hayek White Death, hit and run sniper tactics, but if you're like, no, 3 dudes charged 200 to 300 men and slaughtered every last one of them, like head on, head to head, those 3 dudes did it. It's like, oh, dude, they dug up the occult stuff. They dug up the occult stuff from World War II. They found it. They made genuine demon warrior people. Like, though, that's people can't do that. People not in an open engagement. That's not how it works. I mean, I'm not asking for reality, but I just always think that part is funny. My thing with the campaign that has bothered me is there's a lot of corner cutting in it that I noticed, and a lot of, I would say, kind of lack of polish, which I know everybody's going to come out and say, it's Battlefield. I'm not trying to hear it. I will never be trying to hear it. I'm not. A $70 package is a complete package. So, for example, like for the third level, where you're storming the beach, I think it's like Operation Gibraltar or something like that, and you're in the amphibious vehicles. There's a part where you get to the beach, and it's a bunch of little stuff like this, but it adds up as I'm like watching it. So you get to the beach, and right before there's a smoke screen thrown up. It's like the same 3 smoke models duplicated and kind of moved around, very lazily so. It's not like dynamic smoke effect or anything like that. It is straight up, it's straight up like an asset that you can tell it's an asset by looking at it. And it's like I said, it's going to sound like small nitpicky stuff, but we're talking, as we've talked about on other, it's like this is supposed to be the newest generation. It's supposed to be the new thing, and it's stuff that has been done before. stuff like watching, even this is like the second mission, and I noticed it. It's like there's helicopters flying past you. And as they're flying past you, there's like AA fire, not even going really at them, but the vehicles are sparking as if they would be hit. So it's like you just threw, you know, if you've done a good bit of design, and they could have done it a myriad of different ways, but like the way I'm thinking is they probably used like a sparking model for the helicopter that like every so many seconds would, send off like a spark to, imitate being hit. So instead of utilizing, an actual physical round striking it and it them actually sparking every time that they're actually struck with one of the in-game rounds, they're just doing it at random intervals, so they could be off in the distance and they're like sparking as if they've been hit and there's no rounds in the vicinity, stuff like that. It's like small, really small, lack of polish stuff. This is going to be a not so much a nitpick, but just something that I figured at this point in time we would have kind of at least improved upon. The AI is the same in Battlefield, Call of Duty AI that has been being utilized in those types of games forever. Forever. And I know this game gets put up on a huge pedestal, but like we have games like Fear that really demonstrated like you could make pretty at least intelligent seeming, because all it is really, really, it's relatively simple script, but just done in a creative way that works really well, that really meshes well with the gameplay. And it's like, yeah, I'm not asking for that, especially on the scale you're doing things, but this AI is like brain dead, straight up brain dead, standing in the middle of the like I was going and doing the challenges, the assignments, and I redid a part and it reacted properly the second time, but the first time I did it, I went out of position from where they told me to go because I played these games before. So it's like I'll just not listen to what they tell me to do because it's stupid sometimes. It's like, take up this position. It's like that position over there is better. So I'm going to go to that one. And I did that out of position. The first time I did it, it was two guards in a sniper tower. Dude, I shot him and the other one just stood there. Like they didn't react at all. Like the guards didn't do anything. They just stood there. But when I shot him from the position I was supposed to on the second go around, they reacted. It's stuff like that. I've been trying not to fine tooth comb it because ultimately it's like I'm kind of going against it, being hypocritical of what I just said. It is a Battlefield campaign. I'm not expecting the world of it, but just it's something I'll harp on. I always harp on. We harp on it in different ways. We are paying a full game's price and we deserve a full game. And a campaign is part of that. No game that is exclusively a multiplayer suite will ever be worth $70. That's an insane notion. So I expect there to be a higher level of polish for the higher price range going forward. Not to mention, and so this is a small side gripe, I hate when they try to overdo the realism thing and they just do some asinine stuff that makes no sense. So like when you're entering buildings, there's like an eye adjustment feature in this game where you can't see shit inside the building because it's like your eyes adjusting from highlight to low light. That's not a thing unless you're on the goddamn sun. I'll get some footage of it and hopefully we get some footage up there. But yeah, so essentially if I'm approaching, I was doing like the golf course thing on domination and I was approaching B. So that's the inside bar area. There's a moment of time between being inside and outside where you just cannot see inside the building because it's supposed to be your eyes adjusting as your eyes do actively adjust dynamically to brightness and dimness in real life, your dilation of your pupils. It's not that extreme, like I said, unless the contrast is unreal. Like you have to be staring at a desert in the middle of the sun and then staring inside a windowless hut. And then it's like, yeah, your eyes will have to need a moment to adjust. But the entire wall over there is glass. And like, yeah, it's kind of bright outside, but it's not that dark inside. It's just one of those things where it's like they tried to be realistic, and it just pisses me off. Just the same way they tried to do like bullet drop, and it's just like not how bullet drop works at all. Like I've said it to you before because I bitch about this on occasion. It's like the bullet is still rising at 200 yards. The bullet is still rising. The fact that you're making 75 meters, so, your sniper rifle blade, like, you gotta, count for bullet drop. It's like out of a higher, like an actual high powered rifle, that bullet is still going up. When a bullet comes out of a barrel, it curves, it goes upwards. That's why you aim down at like center mass, at like 200 yards, the bullet will go up. It's like, I just hate when they do stuff like that. It's like they didn't consult somebody who knows this stuff. And I'm not saying I'm an expert on the subject. I'm just saying, and obviously it's Battlefield, but you can't be like, well, it's just Battlefield, dude. You could jump out of a jet and fire a missile and blow up another jet to get back in the jet. And then turn around and like you can't use that logic when it's convenient and then turn around and be like, well, it's supposed to be realistic. It's like pick a lane, pick a lane. And if you're going to pick a lane that requires some kind of realism, ask somebody who knows anything about how eyeballs and bullets work, because they would have helped you out. And the reason I bring that up is because I actually turned off, and I know people are going to be like, oh, well, you changed the experience. I was like, you know what? Maybe if I change something, like turn off some settings, because me and Stretch usually play with low settings on shooters because it makes enemies more visible. Call it what you want, but like he's got a super nice rig, but he turns everything down because it actually makes the camouflage work better when the game looks nicer because it's doing what it's supposed to do. So he makes the game look shittier, so you stand out. It's like I'm not going to fight actual camouflage. I'm just going to make the game look worse. At the end of the day, it's a game. But I went to go like look at the settings because I'm like, I don't know, is there any way I could turn this eye adjustment setting off? Which I guess you can turn it off in the PC. So that is a thing. I saw that on Reddit. But they have a lot of filters in that game that really drive home the fact that these games are not anything special. And I know this sounds like I'm really just getting in Battlefield's ass right now, and I'm not. I like that game, but it's once you turn like it had a film grain filter on, a bunch of motion blur shit on, like all that stuff, and it kind of quite literally said it like in the description, like especially at the film grain thing. It's like it looks better for like pretty much. My thing is they're pulling a Tinder catfish on me where it's like all these games are like, yeah, this is the next generation of gaming, just graphical fidelity, like you wouldn't believe. And then you go in there and it's like, yeah, we have 8 different filters on to make this game look better than it actually is. It's like, oh, so you're not providing, and I'm not someone who genuinely cares about graphical fidelity like that. Obviously, I just said I turned down my settings to make it easier to spot people, but you can't use that as a selling point and then be like, yeah, we actually aren't really as graphically impressive as we tried to make it seem. We just put a fuck ton of motion blur and filters on everything. So it looks like the game is really, really well animated and really well put together. Cause I'll tell you what, I should get some side by side footage. It is like when I turn the setting down, I'm not turning them back up to do the campaign. I'm just gonna do the campaign. It's not gonna change my impressions of it by just from what I've seen, even like the things I pointed out, like the weirdness of it, like the laziness essentially that I saw, that was done when the settings were appropriate. And once I saw that, I was like, well, I'm not gonna see anything that I think I'm gonna care about enough to have those graphics high up again. So I'm just playing it. But even like I just did all the assignments pretty much with the first and second level of the game, just so I can get them knocked out of the way, so I could just play the campaign. Boy, are those filters doing a lot of heavy lifting. They are. They are in fact doing a lot. And that, no exaggeration, that shit looks like Loki looks like Modern Warfare 3 without all those filters. No joke. No joke. Turn them all off. Play the campaign. Just look at the character animations, facial. Look at all of it, dude. This shit looks like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. with those filters off.
Are you on easy mode again?
I actually am going to restart the game and put it on the hardest difficulty. I know I bust your balls about it.
That should make the graphics better.
It's just going to make the platinum quicker. So.
No, it won't.
Don't upload your save file to the cloud. Make sure that it is completely corruptible at any moment, so that way you have to do it again.
Oh no, as long as the trophy pops, I don't give a fuck. I'm done. Those games are. I'm like tempting. You said no, it won't, Vaughn.
I'm just making fun of the fact that you have to revive 2,000 people if you want that platinum.
I understand that, and I thought about that, but like I thought it revived more people than I had, but I have been reviving a healthy amount of people, especially with the new drag mechanic, which that's cool. That is a plus. I do like that. You can drag somebody to cover as you revive them, which is dope. I played mostly Assault, just to kind of really get my legs, in there, my feel for the game. And boy, howdy, I've been saving the shit out of people. And if I had a defib, shout out to all of my defib boys out there, though, that I see that they need a montage, bro. They're rushing across the battlefield. They're Hacksaw Ridge style and getting my dumb ass. And I'm like, go down again. They're just like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here. Hang out, just keep defibbing you. They're probably back there like, how the fuck does this guy keep getting back up? But yeah, that was like my I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I just kind of like small complaints. Overall, once again, no, it sounds like I busting the balls right off this game, but I'm really not. I've had a really, really fun time playing. Even with the crossplay, I didn't really experience anything crazy, no crazy jank, no cheating. Everything EA's got a pretty good handle on their personal servers, so like that kind of stuff worked really easy. Me and Stretch played. Just yeah, I think they did a lot of work. I mean, it's just part of Battlefield. Me and Stretch were playing infantry only maps due to the fucking vehicles. I'm not a vehicle girl. I'm not. And here's the thing: when I'm in the vehicles, you're tearing them apart. By all means, I'm not denying that it's sick to like. There's something about a motherfucker parking a tank right on. It's like I could be absolutely kicking ass on Conquest, and then someone rolls up in a tank, and it's like there was never a play for this. There was never. The game was rigged from the start. There was nothing I could have done to stop this situation or realistically foresee it happening. That dude rolled over the hill in an Abrams, and it was my ass because it's an Abrams. So what do you like? Much and in all fairness, very very accurate to real life. Fucking tank shows up. I guess we all die. I guess we're all gonna die here, gentlemen, because there's not shit you can do about that. The game you can fire missiles at it, but damn well those tanks take way too many missiles. If that crew is competent in the least of bits, you'll probably get one missile off, and then you are getting removed from this earth expeditiously.
My only complaint with the tanks, and it's not even directly with the tanks, it's with the class that gets the C4. It takes too long to get the C4 unlocked to really handle tanks when you're. I think it's the recon class that gets it.
Recon gets it?
Yeah, it just takes too long. It's like level 20.
I give that the engineer.
I think it's like level 20, 24 in that specific class before you get it.
Yeah, and that's like I've been just hammering assault, and really what I've been doing is I've been stockpiling all the XP boosters. And then I've been getting all the assignments up to where it's like 5,000 XP. And then I'm just going to pop an XP booster, 2 times XP booster, maybe even wait for a double XP weekend so it's quad boosted, and then just do all those assignments so I can kind of rip up levels. But yeah, I've heard this complaint before, and I think you guys kind of brought it up too. It touched on it a little bit. Dude, progression doesn't feel meaty in these games at all. and I don't know if it ever really has, not like Call of Duty, but then again, Call of Duty plays you like a fucking sick guitar riff, which I'm pretty much completely cashed out on Call of Duty. I don't think I'm probably ever going to touch those games again, especially if Battlefield 6 is one of those games where it's like I was sitting there thinking about it. This is a game, I hope they do the games as a service model, and I hope they do it appropriately. Obviously, they've kind of been trying to do it, but this is the first time it really hit. And I was like, you know what? I want this one to keep going. Maybe it's because I spent $70 on. Well, actually, no, I only spent $60 because I got it on sale. Which is kind of wild that they had a sale so soon. But yeah, it's like I spent $60 on this game. I hope I can get my legs out of it. I am having fun with all my complaints aside. If they put in a damn tearing off that stupid eye, that is genuinely infuriating to me.
I think that's an HDR thing. See if you tweak your HDR settings.
That's what everybody's been saying. Like I went on, like as much as I hate going on the cesspool that is Reddit, I went on there and like that's the first thing everybody's saying is it's not an HDR thing. And then I saw a guy on PC say there's a straight up eye adjustment setting. So like, because that's what that is supposed to be. That's not an issue. I know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm fully aware of what they think they are doing, and it's not how real life fucking works. It's just not. Like even when you when you walk into a house, a threshold of a home that's darker from being in the sun, you're not blind at any point in that process. Your eyes slightly adjust. Most of the time, so slight of an adjustment that you cannot even tell it's happening. But in that game, it makes it so extreme that you just straight up can't see inside the building. And if you stand in that sweet spot, like if you don't try to progress in the building, you will remain like blinded. I'll have to do it. Like I think it's like pretty much the closer you are to the inside, the faster your eyes adjust. So it's like you can't just kind of stand on the threshold and have firefights. That's the problem. If I'm trying to enter like that specific area, like B, if I'm trying to enter and fire in, I'm straight up blind and I'm trying to clear the room so I can breach the doorway. But I'm kind of stuck being a blind man just sending rounds down range, hoping to hell I'm hitting somebody. And it's like they can see you perfectly from the inside, which things like that are cool. Things like that make sense when they make sense. Like I've gotten a couple guys that I killed them because they were silhouetted against the horizon. You know, it's like that's why that's it gave them away, but it's like cool military doctrine, that you can go over and look at where that's like the most dangerous time of day to move is because you're silhouetted. But as sunrise and sunset, you don't want to be in motion, but you also generally would like to have the sun to your back, because even though you're silhouetted, it's you can get better. Like if you have cover, you can cover better, just because you're not the sun's not lighting you up. You'd rather be silhouetted than completely lit up by the sun. It's cool stuff like that, but it's the stuff that would make it cooler isn't implemented in a way that makes sense, and then some of the stuff is just silly. But overall, solid experience. I'm having a ball. I'm having way more fun, not than I anticipated, but than I was willing to let myself be hopeful for. If that makes sense. Just because, I got shit be hard out in these streets, bro. They always trying to rob you, so I gotta stay hard out here. So, but I'm having a ball. M4. Oh, and I gotta say, just because, and it'll be my last thing, just because I'm a red-blooded American through and through. M4 is a good gun in this game. Thank you, God. I'm so sick of every game trying to make I don't think it's like some kind of weird political thing, but I'm tired of everybody making like the space commie guns like super good, and they're like, oh, yeah, rinky dink M4, yeah, take like a half a mag. It's like, you don't know what a gun is. That's insane. Like it's like my AK 3 rounds, M4 half a mag. Like bro, you're doing my boy dirty. And the reason I said, M4, M16s is pretty much the staple of American firearms. That, the saw, the 249 machine gun. You see that, you see an M4 and you're like, oh, there's Americans. Not that any real good red-blooded American military service member would ever leave their rifle laying around, you fucking animals. But if you were to see one, you would know that we are present in the room, and you would hide your women. But I'm thoroughly pleased about that. It's because we're the best. They want to be with the best. It's not me. It's biology. They want the best. They want to be taken care of. Your rinky dink arm's gonna hold that lady tight, Frenchie? I think not. I came here with a pack of Marlboro Reds, some Grizzly Wintergreen, and 5.56. I heard there's a party in these here parts. I'm like, ah, shit. Oh, here we go again.
I'm screwed.
Yeah. No, you're an American, Vaughn. That's fine. You're an American with bad taste in insects to eat. Well, is a snail an insect? It's a mollusk, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not going to go down that road. But yeah, no. Pleasantly surprised with Battlefield 6. Happy to jump back on and finish it. Story's nothing special. They kind of were a little bit lazy. I'll let it slide as long as the core gameplay of Battlefield, although it kind of goes against my principle to let anybody slide on that, it is, for all intents and purposes, an enjoyable story. I can look past the jank. I don't like that they're doing that, because they sure as shit have enough money to make unique animations and set pieces, but I'll fight my battles where they're worth fighting, and this is really not a hill that's worth dying on. So, but that's it for me.
Cool. What about you, Vaughn?
I finished Robocop. I talked about it a little bit last time, but I got the platinum. It is out the door. It was good. It started really well and then kind of dipped towards the middle of it, and then once I got to the end, it felt a lot better to play. To recap, I don't know if I talked about it last time while we were recording, but it just felt like an enemy hallway where they just kept throwing tons and tons of enemies at me, and you're Robocop. What are you going to do? He's nothing but armor. So it just dudes being pumped through this hallway, every room, and I'm just popping skulls as Robocop. And it feels good for the first couple hours, and then you realize what's going on, and I'm like, this is exhausting, man. Like, this isn't fun anymore because I see what you're doing. And then they start ramping up the types of enemies towards the end, sending more robots at you, and it starts to feel better because there's a challenge. I leveled up my skills to a point where I didn't reload my Robocop handgun anymore. It was just a machine gun nonstop. I could just hold the trigger down and I was just killing. I'd walk into a room and start firing before I even passed the door frame, and things are blowing up, papers are flying everywhere, things are dying, and before the dialogue's over with, everyone's dead. So that's partly on me for ruining the experience in that fashion, but you gave me the power, and I'm eating it up. So story-wise, it's just like the Dread movie that came out a handful of years ago. You're in this specific building, and you're working your way up through something towards a general enemy, helping people along the way that are just innocent bystanders. But the game looks really good. I don't know if you guys played the core game. I recommend that before anything else.
Wasn't it free?
They might have done a free month of it at some point, but
so which one is this?
This is like an expansion for it that came out last year.
Rogue City.
Yeah. Well, Rogue City.
I'm pretty sure
Rogue City's the main game. This is. Let me pull up the name.
Well, I'm pretty sure Rogue City was a free game a couple of months ago. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
I think the base game was free.
But this is the expansion that they released after the fact, so it's on sale right now.
Yeah, it was free in April.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we do have it. So
yeah, if you do it on your account.
I downloaded it. I always do. There's probably so many games that I will never play, but I'm just like, just in case.
Yeah, I recommend the core game if you haven't tried it out yet. It looks really good. Original voice actor for Robocop. Just
really
came back for it.
You know what that game reminds me of? God, I would love for them to, even if it was just like a, bring it back on PlayStation Classics. But did you guys ever play the PS2 Punisher game?
Yeah. They censored the shit out of that game like everywhere. That game was like
really?
That game was like the pinnacle of violence.
Dude.
For a long time. That was when they were like the Manhunt and all that era where they were acting like everything was making all the kids murderers. And yeah, that Punisher game, like I don't know if it was the US, but I know a lot of places it got banned. So like when you would do stuff, it would like flash the screen like this black and white, like grainy murder, psycho-esque murder sequence, but you wouldn't see the murder itself. Whereas like the places where it was uncensored, like you would actually see it. They wouldn't do any of that. You'd see a motherfucker putting a dude's face on a table saw.
That's what, yeah. Because when I look at RoboCop, I'm like, this seems to scratch that itch of just
power fantasy.
Yeah, just
power fantasy, which is super accurate too. I'm not gonna act like I'm a crazy expert, but it is very accurate to RoboCop lore. Like he is not fucking around. Like when you look at it now, which except for the newer RoboCop movie, which I love that movie, but they didn't go super crazy about it. But like RoboCop is pretty unfuckwittable within his universe. Like he be like in the comics and stuff. It's like it's not like the movies. He's not pressed at all. Yeah, obviously for the sake of like having some drama they do, but for the most part, it is like Rogue City. I was watching some gameplay. It's like he will grab your Harley out from underneath you and then beat another dude to death with it. Like you would not be like, fuck this slow moving clunky robot guy. You'd be like, oh my god, it's the dude that beat someone to death with a 400-pound Harley Davidson while holding me at gunpoint. Don't move, scumbag.
Yeah, you can pick up huge things and just hurl them at people in the original. In this one, there's not stuff like that. There's like trash bins that you're picking up and throwing. Yeah, dumpsters and computer screens and sometimes tables. But you're all inside, so you're limited by what you can fit inside a building.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go.
So in the base game, you're able to just straight up pick up things in the environment and throw them at the enemies?
Specific things, but a motorcycle is one of them. Dumpsters are some of them. Yeah.
Dumpsters, people. There's certain stuff. And so it's like you can't just rip chunks off the environment and do it, but it's like, say you blow up a wall and a big ass piece of like rock falls down, you can then pick up that rock and then fucking chuck that at somebody. So you can't just run up and grab a piece of the wall off, but if the environment is destroyed and like a beam or something falls, you can pick that up and throw that.
Dude, I love stuff like that so much. So much.
Yeah. It's good.
The environment's interactable like that. Is that the only thing you really played?
That, and I started another free game that came down this month, the Invincible. It's like a weird space walking simulator. That's what I initially thought. And I'm not going to say it's cosmic horror yet. It's more technological horror in space. I'm probably halfway through, so I don't want to talk too much on it. I want to finish it first before I really dive deep into it, but it's taking some turns that are really interesting. I'll talk a little bit about the initial story, and then I'll talk about it more once I finish it. But you're a space crew that landed on a planet, and you're investigating what's going on. like just kind of you're scientists, so you're taking samples of everything, and then shit goes crazy. You wake up and your whole crew is gone, and there's a sandstorm coming at you, and you're trying to find out what's going on, and it's doing some weird stuff, like really weird stuff. It looks really good, and it's free this month, so I'd recommend it, even only getting halfway through it.
Invincible, right?
The Invincible, yeah.
The Invincible. Gotcha.
There's no harm in just downloading the game. That's what I always do. It's like that.
Oh yeah,
if I never play it, I still have the license for it. It's whatever.
Yeah, I normally do too. I just have such a crazy backlog that sometimes like I'll kind of forget to download the game, and I'm like, oh great, here's another 3 I'll never touch ever.
Yeah,
like
that is what it is. Someday when we're old and retired.
Yeah.
Playing through that and still playing through Super Robot Wars, but nothing beyond that.
Cool. Yeah, I've been in a Tekken Omoplata. It's pretty much what's been happening to me. Tekken Rubber Guard, dog. It's been crazy. That's all I want to play. Like, I want to go back to Weird West, but I'm just like, or I could spinning roundhouse this dude into oblivion with Fakuram and then switch over to King and body slam you. Dude, Fakuram is so fun. I can see why people hate him. Just like I can see why people hate King. But then people play as Lars and stuff, man. So I ain't trying to hear it. Shut up, Haroon.
Oh, it's the classic, dude. Everybody's gonna bitch. It could be the lowest tier character, and somebody's gonna lose, and then be like, "This guy's busted." It's like,
yeah,
you're unable to adapt to slight variations in someone's fighting style. You're not good. That's what the problem is.
Me and Nate were running like a mirror match with Fakuram because Nate loves Muay Thai. That's like his actual way of fighting. And dude, that mirror match was so sick. It really felt like a Muay Thai fight. And we learned so much off of each other just, doing that. And I got some B-roll footage we can throw up of it. But dude, because now I'm like starting to actually get an understanding of the things he can do. So, in Tekken, it's always square and triangle are your punches, X and circle are your kicks. Fakuram basically has this system where if you alternate between X and circle or circle and X, before you hit that second button, if you go back to the original button, like as a quick input, he will feint. And from that feint, I can either throw a spinning roundhouse, a supercharged up low kick, or I can hold back, to which then he does a heel hook that stops you from sidestepping, so you can't dodge it, so you have to block. Or you can hold forward, and this dude will stutter step, drop down, and I can either come up with an uppercut, grab you, flying knee. It's like the amount of mix-ups that are there in just like 2 combos is enough to destroy people. If you really understand what you have available there, and me and Nate were just having a blast just trying to get sharper and sharper with that movement. Dude, I don't know the names of the rankings off the top of my head, but in maybe like a 30-40 minute kind of session, I ranked up from whatever the beginner level is to like almost Garu, which is like 5 ranks or something, maybe 6. Which
it's all individual character rankings in that, right?
Yeah. So my king, I think, is Garu, but excuse me. And a lot of that is also just me knowing how to play. So like my defense is just there regardless of, him. But man, the game is just so good, dude. And it's funny because I've been playing Tekken, so I'm watching more Tekken content like Lil Majin and which shout out to him, man. Lil Majin's he's that dude for real. And I found out there's a guy who plays Fakuram. His name's Poke Chop. Great name. But because I'm watching them, like Tekken content is coming up, dude, people just hate Tekken 8, and I just cannot wrap my mind around it. I can't wrap my mind around it. It's like You guys are gonna say this until Tekken 9 comes out. And they're gonna be like, man, we had it good in Tekken 8. Like,
I was gonna say
God.
you're never gonna please those people. I played in Battlefield, was playing with a guy, and all he did was bitch about how Battlefield 6 was not good.
Well,
And
he spends endless time on it,
I'm
playing
not
it, grinding it
and
out.
it's like I'm not even a fanboy. Like I was like, I'm not gonna fanboy for this game. I don't give a shit if you like a game or not. If I like a game, and it's the numbers to an extent don't lie. Even though general consensus isn't an accurate estimation of something's quality. But yeah, all he did was bitch and moan and bitch and moan. But it was like he's like, oh man, it takes like a whole mag to do this. It's like it's a video game. While I do admit, if you were to empty half a magazine on someone's legs, it'd blow their legs off. They would probably die of shock, or blood loss relatively quickly. It is a game, so you do have to have decent accuracy. You can't shoot them in the hands and expect it. Because then my thing is, I'm not some high level player. I'd say I'm middle of the pack at best. Because especially playing with Matt, that dude is grotesque, dude. He just whatever he wants to do. He went like 41-5 with just casual. He was using the shotgun just cause he's like, I never use this gun, but I just want to get the stuff done. So it's like, okay, clearly there's levels to this shit, but I'm killing guys rapidly. Like one magazine, it will get me 3 kills. It's like easily. So it's like you're sitting here saying you're like, you can't bullshit me. You're sitting here telling me that it's like, oh, the time to kill in this game is crazy. It's like, I know you're bad at aiming.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But and it's like the same kind of stuff with that, where it's like, I hate this mechanic. It's like, it sounds like, and yeah, there are sometimes games implement mechanics that I don't agree with, but it's like, it sounds like you don't interact with that mechanic very well. So you don't like it specifically because of that. And it's like, that doesn't make the game just a bad game just because you don't like certain small elements and you're allowing that to ruin the entire experience for you. Which, if that is pivotal to the experience, I'm sorry. This experience just might not be for you, but a lot of people refuse to interact with things because it's new and different, and then they complain because that new and different thing is the difference maker between their success or failure in the game. It's like, well, you have to interact. Just real quick, off topic, just because it made me think about this. For Battlefield, this is one of those complaints. The DMR, any DMR, designated marksman rifle, being 3 shot center mass to kill and 2 headshots to kill is a fucking travesty. Whoever put that nonsense in there absolutely needs to be fucking drawn and quartered and flogged. That is crazy. I'm hitting you with pretty much a sniper junior to the chest 3 times, like 2 times tops, and then twice to the head. What was your skull made out of? I mean, obviously any gun would in real life, but still, it's meant to be a marksman rifle. It's meant to essentially be a smaller substitute for a sniper rifle. 2 shots to the body, 1 shot to the dome. That's like the rules. But that, like I said, that was one of those complaints. I'll just not use them or use them sparingly. It's that easy. But
yeah, to go off of your point about people just, it's new, I don't like it. I have an extreme pet peeve with that mentality. I hate that. Like, I really do hate that. It's like, dude, you know why it's not like Tekken 7? Because it's called Tekken 8. Isn't that crazy? It's a new game. Like, if it was Tekken 7 again, you would complain about that. And now, it's like, for example, I like MK11. I wouldn't take it further than that. But MK1, no, that one's not for me. I'm not going to buy it and complain for 900 hours. I'm just not going to play it. Look how much stress you save yourself. Who cares, dude? Yeah, people that do that are really weird. It's like, I see those type of things on Steam all the time where it's like, these games suck, but they have 32,000 hours in it. Like, dude, shut up.
Shut
up.
In that, like, Steam...
You love it.
Environment, though, it's like, at least Steam does... I'll give people on Steam that, and it's like, at least they do have a refund system.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's like, if you buy it on console, it's like, I low-key want to I just kind of want to bitch about it. Like, I want to try to get my money's worth out of it. That's what's keeping me coming back and bitching. because I need, in a sense, to get my money's worth out of this game because I can't refund it.
Right.
But
I feel like, don't get me wrong, I do wish there 100% was a refund system. That is pro-consumer as it gets. I just think with the position that we're in as console gamers, I think you just have to not be a slave to the hype and just like really do your research.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I mean,
even if you don't like the, it's just
even with me holding off on Battlefield, it's like I had no problem doing that. Like I saw things about it, I saw you guys playing it, I know you guys liked it, but it was like I'm more than happy to be a month behind the curve on a new game, and I am more than happy to be fucking a year or two behind the curve on a new system.
Oh, 100%.
Because just the way things have been, with the last few releases, not counting shortages, just issues overall. It's like the first gen of any system is usually some nightmare where something's always going wrong, and it's like
You're also, as a early adopter, 9 times out of probably 10 out of 10 times, you are getting the objectively worst version of the game.
Yeah,
and just you're essentially the beta testers for the most part.
Yeah,
and I've actually, shout out to Fallout 4 for breaking my heart so deeply, because I never pre-ordered after that. Never pre-ordered a game. It broke me out of the hype train kind of thing, where I'm like, I genuinely could not care less to get this on launch. And like I ended up playing like I was super stoked for Horizon 1, and I don't think I played that for maybe a year after it came out, because I like had a bet with myself, like, oh, you got to do this in life before you can get a PS4 and play the game, blah blah whatever, and get Horizon as the first game. Playing that removed from the hype, and this applies to anything, I love so much more, because it is truly just like what you said. Those were your genuine raw thoughts on Battlefield. I haven't heard anybody say that. It's your own opinion, truly. Like it's not, the noise mixed in with it.
Yeah,
the extra influence.
Which is obviously what you just should always strive for, whenever we're establishing that kind of thing. And just kind of to piggyback off what you said, just real quick, because you're like, shout out to Fallout 4. Last game I pre-ordered was fucking Elder Scrolls Online. And the state that launched in, Bethesda again, thank you for that. And then before that, I believe, I don't know if my timeline's messed up, but my timeline is messed up, because it was, my last game I pre-ordered was fucking Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That was the one. So it was Elder Scrolls Online, then it was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And that is that is one of the cases where it did too much. You did too much. You fucked the whole system up so badly that you got a game removed from Evo that was at Evo from its inception. So good job, you fucking clowns. So
yeah, well, yeah, outside of that, Charlie did kind of hustle me into buying Jurassic World Evolution 3. I swear it was Charlie. It was Charlie. All right? Leave it at that.
I mean,
Quit pestering me. It was Charlie. All jokes aside, she really did ask for it like 3 or 4 times. I only played it for like 10 minutes. Dude, the graphics in that are like immaculate. No joke. Like some of the best graphics I think I've ever seen. I also just got a new big TV. And Charlie's like, oh, you got a new TV. It's up in Jurassic Park. I was like, oh, all right. So I bought it, loaded it up, and there's like a in-engine T-Rex mother and baby, like as kind of the like load up, Dude, they look so good. It's like it looks better than the movie. I'm like, what is even going on?
And those are the kind of games where I would say, to an extent, graphical fidelity matters. Because nothing's happening like dynamically for the most part that I guess that would put a lot of pressure on the system. So like it should be able to always render things nicely in that, in those games. And those games are effectively sims. So it's like I am part of it. Like a large portion of this is me looking at my stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
so it's like
And from what I played, because I probably have maybe 60, 70 hours or something in Jurassic World Evolution 2, which is for that game a drop in the bucket. But from what I've played and just coming off of that and looking through the menus and seeing everything that you can do now, I'm just looking at it like, man, this game is gonna rule. It's so fleshed out, so deep, and I feel like how do I put this? There's Jurassic Park energy, and then there's Jurassic World energy. And this game, while still has some of that Jurassic World kind of, Marvel-y a little bit in there, it is definitely closer to the Jurassic Park vibe than Jurassic World 2 was. Or Jurassic World Evolution 2. Like, I'm playing it and I'm like, dang, man, this is actually making me feel nostalgic. I didn't think I could feel nostalgic for Jurassic Park, again. But it's hitting something so charming, especially with the baby dinosaurs and stuff. And there's just so many dinosaurs in this one. And I guess they're dropping a dinosaur a month. And you can do crazy stuff, dude. You can, like, just straight up manipulate the land and make mountains and waterfalls and truly customize the buildings. I guess they brought all of the customization mechanics over from, is it like Zoo
Tycoon?
Something like that. They make like some zoo game that has like crazy customization, like, dude, ridiculous stuff. You're like changing the style of air conditioner on the side of bathrooms, and like you can get crazy on it. Do you want a mini split? Like, I don't know if I'll do all that, but I just like the dinosaur part. But yeah, it seems pretty good so far. I don't think I'm gonna be like locked in on that. That's some like lay there on the portal, kind of just casually over time and have a good time with it though. But yeah, anything else you guys wanted to talk about with what you've been playing? Anything forgot?
Nope.
No. Alrighty then, let's do our first topic, which is a write-in, right, from a listener.
Yep, my work friend shot this our way. So our first listener topic.
What's their name?
Thank you.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. All right, so Chris writes in, what do you think needs to happen for VR to adopt more users and become a standard gaming medium? What will make you personally more invested? What do you think about this, Adrian?
So, I have a few things on here. I don't really know if I have them in any specific order. I guess first and foremost, which is kind of the hardest thing to grapple with VR being pricey technology, is the price point. In terms of it, I mean, the reality of it is, and all of this kind of plays into it. I mean, they cost as much as a console, and they just don't have the offerings that, and it kind of flows into one of my points I have on here. As much as I hate to kind of acknowledge the necessity of them, but it's just kind of like more big name titles, more tie-ins to other bigger name titles on like standard consoles. So like a Call of Duty branded game, stuff like that. Because what it all boils down to is your success of the medium, and just kind of the evolution of it and innovation is going to come primarily and more rapidly due to people coming in and being a part of it. So pretty much you got to get the numbers up in order for people to really invest the time and the money into it. But it's like, it's in this weird grid, like for me, at least the way I look at it is it's in this weird gridlock zone where it's like, it's too expensive for me to justify. I mean, I already bought one because I think it's really cool. And I believe in it, but it's like outside looking in, it would cost way too much money for me to justify buying it over like a PlayStation or, an Xbox, even though Xbox is going the way of the dodo. But it's like, even if I justified that purchase, I have a bunch of games on here that are, I feel like there's a lot of games that are just trying to be experiences, and they're not trying to be more so games. And it's the VR's natural interactivity that, increased interactivity kind of makes up for that in a lot of places, but you're just not getting the kind of offerings that somebody could get for buying a console of the same price. And on that, for 60 more bucks, they can go get a controller and they can play with their friends. Whereas on the VR, if I want to play with my friends got to go get a VR. They got to go get a whole nother system, and it's, unless I know is some streaming technology that is built into them. I've streamed on the Quest and stuff, but it's like there's even being able to interact as an outside party, like being able to watch your friend play games. You have to have compatible smart TVs and stuff to make sure that you can even do that. Because if not, I can watch you play the game and enjoy and engage with you. If you're playing a game on a console, I can't really do that if you're using a VR system, unless I have a setup specifically for streaming what you're seeing onto a television and then trying to interact with you while you're interacting with, the game world. I think that makes that tough. For me, something I noticed when I played a lot of games, I just have like a more focus on like a complete gaming package. This kind of falls back onto kind of some of my criticisms on Battlefield, especially with VR being, in my opinion, like it is definitely solidified itself as a viable gaming medium. But I just feel like a lot of those titles are still preoccupied with just being an experience. They want to be the zombie shooter game. They want to be the, whatever specifically. They want to be the heist game, the whatever game. It's like, but there's nothing in those games for the most part, with like the exception of, and there might be more, but it's like Half-Life Alyx. And the only reason that is, I feel like that has more resonance is because it's related to an identifiable property, which kind of goes to my initial point of it, or the second point of it, needing more big name titles. But I feel like they don't have anything of substance to them that makes you want to invest in that. Like, it doesn't have no long-standing characters, enthralling stories, stuff like that is going to keep me invested in wanting to come back. It's just, it's like if I played one zombie shooter game, I played all of them. What is it about yours that's going to set it apart from the others? You're banking on like I said, the unique interactivity of this VR medium, which is smart. Obviously, it's the medium you're using, so you should use it to its fullest. But at the same time, when that novelty of that experience wears off, I need something of substance left to encourage me to continue to utilize it, or I'm not. If I don't have worlds and stories to engage with actively, because the reality of it is you're engaging with those stories and those worlds outside of a well-made world. You're engaging with it outside of the gameplay. You turn off the game, you think about it, you enjoy it. You're digesting that story and those characters. And I just don't feel like a lot of those titles provide that on the VR. And then just one last kind of tidbit, which isn't really anything you can do anything about, but it's just kind of an additional point for kind of why I feel like it's in this tough spot. Honestly, just like the literal physical space requirements for using it. I don't think it requires an exuberant amount of space, and I don't want experiences. Yeah, I don't want experience. Well, I don't mean like the physical thing. I mean to actually use it. Like I have to make sure there ain't shit in the general vicinity of me when I'm playing a game, especially I forget what the military sim or military shooter game that's on the Quest. I forget what that game is called, but I like that a lot. But that game is like you go prone and you're taking a knee, and it's like I need space for that. And that I think that will just kind of naturally hinder it, period. There's really nothing that can be done about that, because I want that. Like, I genuinely want that. I want that dynamic experience. I think that is what the VR is for. I think that's sick. Super cool. That's what I'm here for. I don't want an experience that, me personally, I don't want an experience I could play sitting down. I don't, I don't want that kind of interaction. But goes back to what I was saying before, where it's like for $60 I could play, you know, a game with my friend, on the console, and we could both sit on the couch and play. It's like, in order for two of us to play the VR, I need two $400, systems at a minimum, and the size of a boxing ring for us to, or two separate, relatively well, two bedrooms with cleared out space for us both to do our own thing in separate areas. So I think that's just something that's naturally always going to hinder the medium. It's just, there's no way around that. But that's really it for me. Like I said, in terms of things I would like to see change, I think the price point's got to change. That's tough. VR is expensive. It's very expensive technology. It's not like a console, in that sense where it's got all the same components, but it's utilized in a different way. I can understand why VRs are expensive, but it's just your value proposition is not there, I guess, is what it comes down to with all these points put together. There's not any titles that anybody's going to recognize for the most part, unless they're in the VR community. So you don't have anything that's really drawing anybody by name. And then the experiences are kind of bare bones, as you would expect out of, experiences made by kind of untested studios. And then they're expensive. It's like, it's tough. I would like to see it succeed more. I'm happy it's gotten to where it's gotten now, but if it wants to progress, something's gotta give.
Right. Yeah, Vaughn, let's get you on the record.
Yeah, I had both of those elements on my list. Price, of course, like Adrian said. That's such a big barrier of entry compared to devices that we all have right now. It'd be like having a phone and then them telling you, well, you can't use this phone unless you have an additional headset, or a headset will make this much, much better, and everyone has to have it to have these specific features. So, like, getting a $600 console and then you need to buy a $600 headset as well is a lot to ask for someone monetarily. But I feel like VR is not gauged towards casual people at its current form. So those type of people might have the budget where it's okay. Where I would add is the physical limitations that this requires. And by that I mean some people just can't use VR because it makes them sick, or it hurts their eyes, or anything along those lines, where it's just not viable for every person, like a console would be, where you just plug it into a TV and you're ready to go. That's kind of where accessibility features have come in for that type of thing. So the barrier of entry to just a base console has widened, so more people can play it. VR, you can't really do that. Like, software wise, you can make it less jittery, you can make it more smooth so people don't get as sick, but some people just can't deal with even that. And every single person can't play VR based on physical limitations, physical in terms of where you're doing it at. Like Adrian said, living room, you need X amount of space to even do some of this stuff, and some people might have a small living space, so there's no way they can have it. Or like another friend at work only has one eye, so he literally cannot do VR at all. It would be a waste of money. Like, he just couldn't see it. So there's that element that prevents it from becoming massively popular. And for the demographic that VR is going for, there's graphical limitations just based on what the VR needs from a system. Like, it's rendering the same thing twice. And if we're in a 4K era, rendering 4K twice isn't the easiest thing to do, especially for a consumer product that you want everyone to have. and that goes into Adrian's price point. Like, if you want super high fidelity VR, you're going to be spending massive bucks that just people aren't willing to pay for a technology that isn't adopted by everyone at this point. So it's kind of multi-factored. Price, graphical fidelity, physical space, human biology. It's kind of has everything going against it. And really the only thing going for it is like the cool factor, which can go a long way for a lot of things. But when you're talking about making people physically sick and draining their wallets, it's kind of a hard sell. But I'm with Adrian too, where I'd like it to become more popular. I might not play it more than I already do now, but I would like this type of technology to kind of get better and make everything better, because all technology improves every other technology around it in some way or fashion. So,
and it's like, because and taking into account, I'm not sure how Vaughn reacts overall to it, but it's like, with the exception of being poor, I am the perfect target demographic. I have the space to use it. I am physically fit and capable. So it's like I said, me and Stretch were playing. We were listening to each other go boom while we're going prone, hitting the ground. Like, I'm hitting the ground, like, and jumping back up, taking a knee. It's like, I am the physically capable. I don't get sick from it. I don't get headaches from it. I'm the person they're looking for. But it's like Vaughn said, it's the reality of it. Because I didn't even really take into account the accessibility issues as well that come with it. It's like, it's, you can't, it's, if I'm somebody that's incapable, if I got bad knees, I'd be like, I'm not doing this. You mean I got to stand for extended periods of time, and then I might have to like physically bend over? It's like, I'm out. There's
for 99% of the games that I've played, I'm okay. Like, I'm in the same ballpark as you. Like, I'm the core demographic. There's one game that made me sick that I've never played again. It was the Robinsons or whatever by, I think it was Crytek. That one made me sick after 30 minutes and I just couldn't play it. But everything else that I've played, I've been fine. So I think we are the core demographic for it, but we can even see the limitations. And I didn't even get into wired versus wireless, because that plays a big factor in it too. Like, wired, you're going to get better graphical fidelity, but you're also then tethered to something with a medium that requires you to be moving. So that's going against it. And on the flip side, if you're using a wireless one, you're dealing with battery possibilities. You're dealing with graphical fidelity, because it has to be rendered by that machine. So,
and I will say that does make just the tether, just for the overall experience, just knowing that you're tethered because you can feel it, it drastically affects it, because because even like I for whatever reason blanked and forgot about like the new PlayStation VR. I'm just thinking almost purely Quest, and it was like they sold like the cable that you could plug into the computer, and it actually would allow you to access the same games as like your Valve Index, your Steam library of VR games as well. And it's as nice as that is, being tethered drastically affected kind of just the experience. Like, you're feeling it like tug on your head, and your hands getting caught in it when you're making big motions sometimes, and just stuff like that. But even then, it's like any game that's requiring a lot of the console, the system, it's like you got like 3 hours of gameplay, and then the shit's got to charge for like another 4 hours for you to, it's almost a 1-to-1 charge to gameplay ratio. So it's like, which I guess is kind of a good thing. As someone that's about fitness, it's like, well, you get your 3 hours a day, and then after that, you better go do something. But
I will give VR games one major positive in that you don't really see trash being pumped out on it, because it requires such knowledge to make a VR game that anything that people are really putting out for the VR has love and effort put into it. You can't just put shovelware out on there and expect it to work well. So I will give VR that positive. That if they're gonna move forward with some bullet point on the back of a box to push VR for people, that's one of them. That's it for me.
Yeah. I want to kind of piggyback off of what Adrian said earlier, and also completely agree with everything you guys are saying. But
stay off my back.
Because the question specifically says, what needs to happen for more people to adopt it? Make it a standard gaming medium. Outside of all of that, kind of like, more, what would that be, hardware kind of limitations, I guess. I think No Man's Sky, Resident Evil 4, Hitman are 3 prime examples to what you were saying. The rest of these games are gimmicks. There needs to be a game. I need a game. And I think all 3 of those games do an incredible job where you made the game, and then a year later, you put a VR version out of it. And it is the same thing, the same collectibles. I can play multiplayer No Man's Sky with Nate right now. Nothing changes. That, to me, honestly, I think has to be the answer. Because outside of Half-Life Alyx, which I'm not super familiar with Half-Life Alyx, like, I know that game's got really unique interactability, but is it like 3 hours long? 4 hours long or something? Not that there's anything wrong with time, but I can play No Man's Sky forever. Hitman is Hitman. I have all those levels, all of that, replayability. Resident Evil 4 is perfect, so it's just you have Resident Evil 4 in VR. There just needs to be a game. It needs to be, it's what you're saying, it needs to be more than just a gimmick.
Right.
And there's one more game, Hellsinger, the one that's like Devil May Cry, kind of, the roguelike game. So that game has a really interesting control scheme where you can have essentially the basic version where I can sit down and play, or you can add more complex movements for what you're talking about to drop down and, do all the crazy stuff. So I think that'd be another good step to take of how crazy do you want to get with it? Do you want to really be dropping down, or do you want to just click in the stick to lay down to have that more accessible, kind of gameplay experience? But I didn't really have, you guys covered, everything else that I was going to say, so I'm not going to rehash it, but I think that is the core thing, man. It's like, I want to play a game. I don't want to buy a bunch of gimmicks. These are cool, but they don't have anything more than like, hey, and you did figure out some cool little new VR thing. 100%. But I'm not here for a mechanic. I'm here for a game.
Right. At its core, it comes down to value proposition is what the term is. It's how much am I getting out of this for how much I'm giving you to engage with this. And like Vaughn said, these games, there's not a lot of shovelware because they're very hard to make on a technical level, or they're at least, there's a little more to making them. But at the same time, it falls back into what we're saying, where it's like it is an incomplete experience. It's almost like having it's like having a room full of engineers, and not having an artist in the room. So it's like you're getting this baseline thing that on paper works really well, but you don't have anything giving it soul that's really like separating it from its peers. So you have this thing that by all means was difficult to make, but it's got to be more than that when it ships. Ultimately, it's got to have some kind of soul to it, or it just won't have staying power at the end of the day. Whether you, however you want to say it, however you want to market it, it's not going to have any resonance in anybody's mind space, for longer than it takes to play it. And then once they stop playing it, half the people will go, if they're playing on PlayStation, they'll just go over to their standard PlayStation and start playing something else on there, a different experience. Doing the same thing. They're looking for entertainment, but they've more or less shown that they prefer their entertainment somewhere else. So in that aspect, you failed. If people are doing that, and that's boilerplate, that's like best case scenario, someone like myself who isn't physically hurting in some kind of way or getting ill, if I choose to take that off and go engage in something that's a little more stimulating, at least on like an emotional level, then that's something that you'd have to remedy to, if you're losing your realistically target demographic because of stuff like that, then that's definitely something that needs to change.
It's in a tough spot because it's in a rough loop in that you need games to support it. And if it doesn't have games to support it, no one's going to buy it. But if no one buys it, then no one's going to be making games for it. So you need to plant your flag in something and then go for it. And we're already so far in kind of the VR landscape where unless there's a big swing in one direction or the other, and by that I mean price is a non-issue where it's cheap enough where someone's like, no brainer, I'll get the console and get this, or at a certain point, if it becomes where it doesn't need a console and it's cheap enough, then people will buy it, and then that'll fuel more games for it.
Yeah, that's kind of why my mind goes to the solution is the Resident Evil 4 route. Make a game, put VR out for it later. And I know that it seems like VR is still in like this prolonged infancy that it can't seem to get through. And I mean, I keep bringing up Resident Evil 4 specifically, but that's just because I'm assuming most people have played Resident Evil 4 to some degree, and it works so well. But really what blows my mind is No Man's Sky. It's like, dude, if No Man's Sky works and Hello Games can get this working, kind of side-eyeing everybody else, keeping it a complete buck.
Well,
like, they got it working. What's
another factor with that is another factor that you take into account is the willingness of publishers to put their IPs on it, which it's still part of that big loop where it's like, when it comes to that, you have to prove yourself financially viable before most.
That is one part I would like to know.
Big devs would take that risk on you, and it's like, yeah, can I use your IP to do this? It's like, yeah, how much money might I make off this? Well, it's like, no, you better come correct with some good numbers or they're not going to let you use their IPs.
I would love to know, like, I guess we're a Google search away, but Resident Evil 4 sales and then post that update. Like, how much did that actually bring in? What are the analytics on how much people are actually engaging with the VR? Because at least for me personally, I've also played, just like probably everybody, Resident Evil 4 a million times. I probably will never be able to not play it in VR anymore, though. Like, that is the way to play it. It's just, once you get to the point where you're throwing guns up, catching them, shooting people in their kneecaps, pulling out knives, it's like, and then you go back and you're like, it's like, whoa, this isn't even the same game anymore. It feels archaic, and at least for me, a good VR experience is the closest thing to next gen I've felt since like PS2 to 3. It is revolutionary.
It's a genuinely unique experience.
Yeah,
100%. That's why I'm super behind it.
That's the part that I guess would confuse me about publishers. I get it, money, blah, blah, but like, that's going to be the future. And you might as well be one of the pioneers out there. Sure, you're probably going to take some L's. You don't have to do a big $1 billion project. Like, it blows my mind that, I don't want to say blows my mind, that's kind of dramatic, but if I were Bandai Namco, I would be ripping down doors to make Elden Ring VR. Ripping doors down, dude. This needs to be in VR. That would blow up in a level that it would mainstream VR, I think. You take something that is at this point, Elden Ring is like the definitive RPG, right? Tons of content. It's culturally relevant. Everybody loves it, blah, blah, blah. And now it's in virtual reality where I'm really casting spells and stuff, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's guaranteed epilepsy.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, for sure. Foul, tarnished.
That's another way too. Free marketing. Just don't put that warning in there.
Imagine the centipede lady in VR.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It changes it so fundamentally that
yes, please.
It would be because there's the mods of people on PC putting it in virtual reality and whatnot. It just, I don't know. I think it's. I don't know how much of this is VR. It is VR's problem, but I think it's also people dipping their toe and not necessarily like, dude, there are examples, it works.
I don't think it'll go away. I think it's just evolving at a slower pace than what VR fans want.
I think it's one of those things where when the technology for making VR is, and this is a possible scenario, I personally think when the technology for producing VR content is made much more accessible, not only just from a hardware perspective, but from a software perspective, because a lot of game development is done on pretty much pre-made engines. It's not easy work, but a lot of it is, they take a lot of the dummy work out of it for you. So if you have a solid grasp on development, you can kind of just pick things up and get to making a game. That's why you do see shovelware, which we're not wanting more shovelware on there. But once that becomes more available to people, then people can make more games, but also the hardware can get cheaper because those things aren't going to be as difficult to come across. And even if that's just like I would even be fine with them dropping almost like a light version of like for the PlayStation. Like you can bump down the graphical fidelity a little bit, and it might be blasphemous to some people, but maybe a more affordable model, and you just remove some of the higher end features from it. I think that's a possibility, but I wholeheartedly agree with Vaughn. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it is very much too effective, and not just to mention from our standpoint. I know, like, a lot of people don't think about this, but it was actually the largest growing market in game design right now. When I was going to courses, well, I think it still is. All the money is in simulations, and I don't mean like I mean surgeon simulator for like actual universities.
Yeah,
like
that stuff's
making
cool.
Yeah, making like plane simulators and stuff like that. Like that's big buku dumb bucks. There's a guy that is a like multi-millionaire right now because he made a incredibly accurate forklift simulator that guys were damn near like pretty much the ratio of dudes that got certified on an actual forklift after using the simulator was like 90%. I told you about I got certified to teach in the simulators we had in the army, and they were using fucking Arma. And what they did is they took the tanks, well, not the tanks, they took the Humvees, and they pretty much just had like cut the bottom off them, so you were kind of just sitting in like a Humvee, like almost like if you were to get in like a car game at an arcade, and then they got turrets, like whichever weapon system you're using, like 249, saws, whatever, and they're tied into CO2 tanks. They're actual weapons tied into CO2 tanks, and they simulate realistic kickbacks. So it's like even the military is actively using simulators to do that. So it's like they're not going anywhere. They have proven their usefulness outside of entertainment to a degree that the technology is going to be around. So yeah, now the focus is on exactly what this question is. It's how do we get that, and kind of spread that out. But I think the biggest thing is just to keep in mind that we are, for the most part, the target demographic. There is a lot of people that are, not to make fun of them, there's a lot of people that are busted up. They have issues. To them, quite simply, the VR is just not on their table. It's not going to be an option.
I guess
and
I would.
there's
Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, I was just saying, there's just a lot more people and it's not even to be shitty, but it's like half the people above the age of like fucking 40 ain't gonna do it, because they're so there is a built-in kind of demographic that comes with it by like necessity. It's not like certain people between this age and this age like these things. It's like it's got nothing to do with liking or disliking it. Like at a certain point, people just can't or don't want to do it.
Yeah. I just want to, even if it did come through clear, just clarify my point of, I think it's going to take a big publisher in order to mainstream it. It's going to take Battlefield 6 VR, Call of Duty VR, and there are literally people on there in virtual reality running around online with you. I think that's the only way this mainstreams. It's not going to be an indie darling or something like that, because the indies are, love them, but they're indies. That's more so what I was meaning with the Elden Ring thing. Right. It's going to take something with some name behind it.
Well, that's
for people to why turn their head, like, you can play Elden Ring in VR, even if I don't actually want to do it. That just, whoa, like, I got to see that at a minimum. Just watch people do that. What does that even look like?
Right, which is why initially that was part of my main point, is to the bigger titles. But this is a kind of a side thing. I don't want to harp on it too much, but
harp on it.
Well, just when it comes to the multiplayer aspect of it, because you bring up like the Battlefield 6 and those kind of titles like that. I think the Elden Ring, a title like titles like Elden Ring would be more appropriate, or more likely to. I can't say more likely to, because obviously those other games like Battlefield and stuff, it's like people will buy fucking anything with certain titles slapped on them, and I think Battlefield, especially right now, is one of those. But you gotta always think like 5 steps ahead, especially when it comes to this stuff. And it's like, we're talking about the accessibility of it all. You have to find a way to balance the multiplayer experience for all these people using all these different accessibility options. And whereas in some games, it's small things that really don't give you an advantage of any kind, like a colorblind mode or something like that. But there's stuff in VR that's like movement. There's stuff like movement options that you can, if say I can't move, I have to pick a completely different movement system than somebody that doesn't have those physical limitations, and that may drastically affect the way that, because like, yeah, I know obviously we all have VR. It's like the jumping, essentially like the jumping around and stuff like that. It's like there's gameplay effects on gameplay that need to be taken into account for balancing, because that's that's part of a full experience as well, is being able to balance it. And if it's like, if whether we like it or not, people are gonna go with the meta. So no offense to anybody, but if like the meta is like the crippled playstyle meta, then you will kind of defeat the entire purpose of what you're doing by making everybody play in a certain kind of way. It's like, if everybody that's picking up the VR has to play in the play style of somebody who literally can't stand for 15 minutes at a time in order to play the game viably, then that kind of completely negates the experience for that person.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, let's just say, we'll use Battlefield as an example. Let's say they come out with a VR mode. I would just make a separate playlist, like, hey, VR is allowed in here, and it's essentially a test bed. Like, hey, things are going to be weird. We've never done this.
Yeah.
Because you got to test the waters. I mean, there's just no other way around it. So you do a separate little thing. It's almost like saying, hey, there's PC people in here. Like Jordan will not play crossplay, which
I won't do crossplay unless I'm playing with Stretch. I'm not doing that shit. There's no point.
Really? Does it bother you?
There's no need for me to be doing that. It just opens me up to way more shit. Like, I'm not someone that's gonna blame anything on anybody. I've accepted that I'm not the greatest player on the planet. But
like getting aimbotted?
I'm not. But that's the thing. I'm not going to open myself up to that possibility.
Right.
It's much easier to get cheats and stuff on the PC. There's plenty of advantages. Like I said, they can turn that fucking eye adjustment thing just straight up off on the PC as far as I'm aware.
Right.
So that motherfucker is seeing me with full clarity while I am literally blind. Like, there's straight up settings on PCs that you don't have on the console, and once again, I don't blame anybody. I know I get cooked sometimes. It just is what it is. But I'm not going to. There's nothing in it for me to allow the PC players to play with me. Not that that's anything special, but yeah. All I'm doing is opening myself up to more pain than I need to, and there's no upside. It's not like I'm having a hard time finding lobbies or anything.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh man. So
yeah, are we good on this?
I think so. Pretty solid.
All right. Next topic. What are some gameplay mechanics or features that have revolutionized the modern gaming landscape compared to previous generations? Vaughn, kick this one off for us.
Can do. There's such a long laundry list of things that have just made current gen gaming better. The barrier entry for some of these things compared to last gen has kind of happened so subtly that we might not have noticed them being gamers. But things like interactive maps, that was a big one that I was thinking about when I came up with this topic, especially with everyone's obsession with open world games. If you're putting out an open world game and I can't put a pin on a map or have things automatically marked off on a map like you saw in Silent Hill 2 Remake, you're wasting my time, because like you're making things so much harder with technology that has been out there for a while. Graphical setting. Go ahead.
I'll say, if I'm not mistaken, that was a feature in the original Silent Hill 2 as well.
Yeah.
So, which is, it just to your point, it's like it took a long time for people to implement that on a broad scale. That's been around since the PS1. That's a feature that was on a PS1 game that they were like, yeah, it would make sense if we didn't make people have to have a notepad next to them and mark the rooms they've been in.
Yeah, stuff like that. For more narratively driven games, contextual dialogue. And by that I mean, if anyone's played Uncharted 4, like if another NPC is starting a conversation with you and then you enter a certain area where you have to have a different type of dialogue, the NPC will go, oh, we'll curb this for now, or we'll talk about this later. And then you finish whatever you were doing and it gets into a more chill spot, they'll pick up where they left off. I've seen that happen more with games nowadays. And I think that's a subtle thing, but pretty impactful, because in the past it would just cut off and you'd lose that maybe important piece of narrative dialogue or a story that a character was going to tell, and you'd have no idea. So stuff like that. This could be a positive or negative depending on who you are, but the graphical settings that you can toggle, that's been more of a console thing, because I know the PC landscape has had that kind of all of its time. But going a performance mode versus a graphical mode, I think is a cool thing to have for everyone nowadays, because if you're more into frame rates, go performance. More into graphics, go graphical mode.
I'm a dirty performance girl now.
Oh, performance is the way to go.
It absolutely is.
Kind of depends on the game for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it's a game that doesn't require like a lot from your system. Like if I'm playing Elden Ring or something like that, something where it's like prone to frame rate freaking nosedives, then it's like, yeah, performance mode all day. But it's like, I don't know. There's I could name it like, Hollow Knight or something like that. It's like that game doesn't need to really be in performance mode. That game's not making my system heat up like a jet.
Right. Last couple, these are, I guess, more PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 specific. I think SharePlay is such an underrated, crazy feature. And by that, if you haven't heard or used it, SharePlay, you can share your screen with someone in a chat party and they can see what you're doing. They can interact with it. They also have the ability to pass the controller to the person that is watching you play. So if they are stuck on something, you can have another person just jump in and play it for you, and then you hand it back. Which
just keep your big bro on speed dial.
Tell that to a Victorian child, and they will die. There is no way you could tell me in the PS2, PS3 era that I was going to be able to watch someone play another game over the internet live and possibly help them play. Insane.
Witchcraft.
And then something that I don't know how many people really use, but the pin to feature in the PS5. Like I can pin something to the right or left hand side of the screen. Mainly for the trophy hunter in me. I do that quite often. Or I'll just pin 4 or 5 trophies to my list and then pin the trophy list to the side of my screen so I can play and look at that at the same time.
Never thought to do that. That's a great idea. Can you pin YouTube?
That's high proficiency right there.
I think you can pin YouTube. I don't have YouTube downloaded on my system, so I haven't really tried it, but I think there are various things on that system you can just automatically pin.
That's cool. I'm going to mess around with that more. I really don't use it that often. Sometimes I'll pin, like, share screens, like when people are playing. I'll do that.
I like to picture-in-picture mode that. Like, if you're showing something off, I'll just put it in, like, the top left corner of my screen and then keep playing something else, and I can see you continue going.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. There's a whole bunch more I could list, but those are some of the top ones for me.
Go ahead, Adrian.
Son of a bitch. So for me, I want to piggyback off what Vaughn was saying with the dialogue. I'm just saying, it's a nice bag. But we're just with the dialogue. I just wanted to. It kind of plays into like the just like the higher graphical fidelity and stuff that we're seeing with these newer consoles. Environmental storytelling, because that dialogue is a part of that to an extent. And I think we're finally seeing, and it's been a thing because a few of my points are things that we've been seeing for years. It's more so the, refining of them, and their current iteration is, I think, head and shoulders above what it was before. I think environmental storytelling has kind of been, it's kind of stepped into the spotlight with a lot of games, not only just because people like FromSoft demonstrating it's how much it actually enhances the experience for people that enjoy the medium overall. But I think having the ability to render so much more and do so much more in finer detail allows you to actually have those, situations where someone can actually truly interact with an environment and with to the scale of it, and just to everything from the large scale to it to the minutia of writings on walls and indentations and all kinds of stuff. I think that has set the medium up just one more step above what it was before. It allows me to truly interact with it, not just by a button push or by having even that's why it's on there, and not just because the character's saying something. It's like I can genuinely look at this environment and glean information from it that is genuinely possibly useful, but very much so relevant to what's happening within this title. And sometimes there being entire stories within it that just like actual genuine stories that the game isn't going to take the time to feed you. But if you want to engage with it and you want to, you know, learn about the story, there very much is a full-fledged story to be told in some of these titles. And I think that's really cool. I think it puts a medium up that much more on the pedestal from a storytelling standpoint. Like I said, but a lot of these are going to be things that are just really improvements. Crossplay. I think crossplay has vastly improved. I still remember back when it was a pipe dream of, man, I sure wish I could play with my friends. And it's a reality that is everywhere. And it's not some janky mess that it was before, which some games still do it. And it's just like confusing to me. Like, Hunt does it where it's like crossplay, but you can't, like, there's no servers. I think
Dude,
I
it's
brought
so
this up.
stupid.
It doesn't make sense. Like,
What's the point?
I can play with PC people, but I can't invite my PC friends to play with me. That makes no fucking sense. But for example, when Stretch wanted to play with me, it took us literally 30 seconds for him to, add me, get me in there, shoot me an invite, work seamlessly. It was like we were playing on PlayStation servers. It was super easy, super quick, no extra hoops to jump through, none of that nonsense. And I think that's good for everybody. I think as we see the console war thing, obviously coming to an end with Xbox being done with it, we're seeing Steam with their Steam machine. I think the Steam machine is going to almost kind of force that more of that crossplay, because you're going to see, now that that's a household console option, you're going to see a lot of people going with that option. So you're going to see a lot more people, wanting to make games on it that are available to other people, because as it becomes available in that way, you're going to see more people develop games, which is already kind of happening. But you're seeing a lot more people developing games for a controller setup for systems. You're seeing a lot of games on Steam come out. They're not just mouse and keyboard. They have a controller layout as well. So I think you're going to see a lot more titles being made for consoles that may have just stayed on the system or on the PC, because it's like, why limit yourself in that sense when you could put it on there? You have everything there. All you have to do is pay whatever fees to publish it on the PlayStation, and if it does well on the Steam machine, it'll do well on the PlayStation and Xbox. Even though, once again, Xbox is pretty much giving it up. So, but the next thing, kind of to go with, along with Vaughn was saying, with like the share play stuff, I had the remote play and streaming. I think that they made the PlayStation Portal. It's like a full-fledged system around the concept of streaming games, and using remote play. I have just one of those backbones that you use with the phone, but even that just worked amazingly. Worked way better than when because I tried to use it a couple times on the PS4 and it worked a handful of times, but there's a lot of times where it's really janky, and it was like playing even the simplest of game was like pulling teeth. And now it's, for the most part, unless you're trying to run a match of Battlefield at work in the middle of a construction zone with no cell towers around on a PlayStation backbone, it's like, yeah, you're probably going to have a suboptimal experience in that regard. But for the most part, playing any kind of normal title, whether it be in your house or like using cellular data on the backbone, it's like I could easily play like Streets of Rage, Hollow Knight, stuff like that, and it's pretty much seamless, and it looks good, it plays good, and that's, once again, kind of go Vaughn said. If you told me I'd be able to just beam a game into my phone and it not only work well but like actually feel good, because I don't think it's saying anything crazy to say that mobile gaming isn't exactly the pinnacle of the gaming experience. So it's like, I don't want to. If you told me I was going to play a game on my phone that wasn't fucking I guess Tacticus for me now, but like back in the day, it was like shit. It's still was it Clash of Clans? You were like, yeah, dude, you're gonna play a game on your phone. It's not like Clash of Clans, and you're gonna actually have a good time. You can play Dark Souls on your phone. It's like, shut up. But it's like, no, that is a very real reality, and it is viable, and you might actually find yourself having fun. One more thing that I have on here is the haptics for like the controllers. I'll say it, and I said it in the text the other day. I don't really like it. It's not really my bag. But I fully acknowledge what they're doing, and I fully acknowledge the changes that makes to an overall gaming experience. I 100% understand the just the added, I don't know what game feel that will give you. It whatever they want to call it. I
technical
think
term.
I think that's in the PlayStation handbook when you get the controller. But yeah, I think that's anything that tries to further just the way that you interact overall, I think is going to resonate the most with me. It is, you're altering the fundamental core part of the experience. And I think because of that, it deserves acknowledgement. It is doing things with, your actual feel, your actual physical sense of touch in relation to the game that hasn't been done up until this point. And I would always support features like that in, really anything. That's one of those things where it's like you would like to see it implemented in stuff like VR, but with like the limitations that VR has, it's like that shit very well may hurt somebody, I guess, is is the best I can put it.
I think
Like,
PSVR 2, don't those controllers have haptics on them? I think they do.
They do. I think Adrian's going more down the route of once we get to the point where we're putting on vests that simulate
so
rumble and bullet shots and stuff. Like
for example, if let's say you're playing a game like Call of Duty and you get hit with like a concussion grenade, if the ears, like the ear holes, or if there was even say there were holes where your ears are supposed to be, if they had something that actually kind of closed them so that it actually created real pressure on your ears, so it was the actual it would be the actual sensation of being deafened. It was so like you get hit with a flashbang, and if there's something in the brow line of it that tightens to simulate the feeling of your eyes actually being affected by a flash, like almost force you to squint. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like those concepts, this could be the jumping off point for concepts like that. But it just goes back to what we were saying. I don't want to jump back onto it, but that's the kind of stuff that you have to take into account with like the accessibility stuff. It's something I would like to see implemented, but it's one of those things where it's like, how far could you go with it before it becomes a genuine liability to you as a company? And at the end of the day, that's going to be king. Like if someone could get hurt, they're not going to fuck around.
I think that's why they've kind of the extent in terms of VR again. They've dealt with blinking mechanics. That's kind of the limitation on what you can do with VR, other than Rumble, like we said, like playing off of the fact that when someone blinks, you can do some crazy horror stuff with that. But yeah, once you get down the route of physically or mentally hurting somebody, companies don't want to deal with those lawyer fees.
Yeah. So, but that's really it for me. I threw just a little bonus one. I because it's an actual game, I threw Death Stranding in there. I will never get over what I feel Death Stranding has done for movement mechanics in games.
It's amazing.
As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have any kind of patent on that. Maybe I'm wrong. But if that shit is just available systems for usage, like I don't think he pulled a WB. I think that's just available, and it's like I don't know, that kind of movement system implemented on a
Witcher,
arguably
Dragon's Dogma.
like I said, like an arguably smaller scale, because obviously movement is the biggest core part of Death Stranding. But if you implement that a dumbed down version, so I'm not trying to manage my foot pressure in the middle of a goddamn sword fight, but it's like, you implement certain things like terrain, you know, increasing your chance of slipping, and maybe like some kind of poise meter that, so now you're fighting on a muddy hill,
So sick.
trying not to take blows that are too heavy because you may slip now, and then you might slide partially way down the hill. Now it's harder to move. You have a stamina debuff, stuff like that. It's like, I think that opened up. I haven't seen anybody really do anything with it, but
No.
I'm looking at it like, I think there's just so much untapped potential to make a lot more interesting experiences in a various different genres, that any game that really requires has enough movement in it for it to be relevant.
That when I first saw Death Stranding, that was immediately what came to my mind as well, because for a long time I always used to think, specifically in, like, let's just say The Witcher, you're fighting a wyvern or whatever on a hillside. I always used to think that exact thought, like, man, this would be cool if the terrain mattered. Like,
Yeah,
I'm fighting and he's pushing me downhill, and now I'm, losing ground and gaining momentum going downhill, but then that could work to my benefit of running downhill to, hit him with a Superman or something. Dragon's Dogma 2 does have, it's nowhere near to the extent of Death Stranding, but it does have that to a certain degree, where if you're on an edge and something hits you and your foot does stumble, they do have like stumble animations where they'll fall or like get hit at a wall. And depending on where the rocks are, it'll hit you here, and that counts as two different hits. It's really cool. That's probably one of my all-time favorite things about Dragon's Dogma, is just how interactable the physics are of it because of stuff like Death Stranding. On a quick little side note, I wonder if, because I think he has said this with Death Stranding, it being essentially like a ground zero kind of thing. I wonder if a lot of this movement is going to be applied to Fizzin, just in a new way. Because it seems like he's almost doing some Kojima stuff where it's like, I'm going to make my own studio and I'm literally going to start a game based off of how you move and then take it to the next step and the next step.
it's literally the Steam approach. We
So
talked
sick.
about this before. They make games to solve problems in gamings. It's like, and I look at it in that same light. He's making games to solve, things he sees as shortcomings in how people develop and make games. It's maybe he feels movement isn't as dynamic as it could be, and there is a lot of instances, like we even talked about on a small scale, like Prototype. It's like Prototype, there was small things that you did within your movement that made it just that much. It changed it just that much. It wasn't just, you know, your character model elevating a little bit on the y-axis to move over top of an object. They're actively interacting with it, even in a small way. It does come back and make a difference. And that could be something he saw. Look at the movement and just overall, gameplay of like the Metal Gear games. A lot of those games have interesting ways to maneuver and work around the environment. So you could say you kind of could see something like this coming from him. So I would very much believe that that could be part of his philosophy when it comes to that, where it's like, yeah, I feel like dynamic movement in games is not something that people focus on. And when it comes to immersion, someone moving in a way that makes sense, I guess it could increase or hinder immersion. But for me personally, if I know that's the experience I'm getting into, then yeah, I would like my character. I think it'd be cool for my character to be under the effects of reality.
Yeah. So with this topic, I kind of wanted to focus, because there's like, live service and, all this stuff that, whatever. Two main things that I wanted to focus on were open world, just as a concept, which really, I guess, was sparked off with GTA 3 and just how it has evolved since then. Let's say you have like GTA 3 and then that template being ran up until what, Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5 is when things start to branch out a little more, and not, well, I guess you would have like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. So you'd have that template of like, oh, here's the map, do all your checkpoints, and we ran with that for a while. Then it was like Witcher 3 and Metal Gear, where it's like, oh, this can be something different. It doesn't have to be GTA Assassin's Creed. And now you have things like Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring, and they're just, even though there's so much open world fatigue, it seems like when it does hit correctly, it's like a whole breath of fresh air all of a sudden, because being lost in a giant world is ideally what we've all been fantasizing about, I feel like, with video games. And the other thing was, it's a more of a micro mechanic, and I've just always deeply wanted a realistic sword fighting game. And while there are games that do it more realistically, like For Honor, for example, is one of my all-time goats, just on a gameplay level. The rest of the game's kind of trash, but like that 1v1 combat is awesome, dude. But there's something about the essence of Sekiro's parrying that it makes complete sense why everybody's trying to copy it. No one can really get it as good, but there's something about that, just like Sekiro is capturing the dance, the flow, and it's the ping, 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 the rhythm of it. And I can't see that mechanic going away for a long, long time. It bums me out that it's not an Elden Ring. Like, in some sense, even though I know it'd be very difficult to pull off an Elden Ring, tell that to the PC community, they modded it in 2 months later, and then they added like a physic drink in Shadow of the Erdtree that lets you do it. But it does feel like something's missing from Elden Ring, and it's that. It's like, that is the superior parry in all ways. It's just like, and then you have Liza P doing it, which does it pretty good. But yeah, that mechanic is just so special. And with the environmental storytelling, I feel like that ties in so well with open worlds, because it's kind of critical to telling a story in those, because you really feel it when it's not there. It's like, wow. Like, for example, even though I absolutely adore Metal Gear, there's no real environmental storytelling in Metal Gear 5.
Right.
It's just kind of emptiness for the most part.
Well, and Metal Gear 5 is on a like a mission to mission basis, essentially.
Yeah.
So there's self-contained open worlds. And you brought up, I think you named, honestly, I know they've kind of fallen from grace, but perfect example, Far Cry, the Far Cry series, especially with like the modern advances we have and like capabilities we have. Those worlds were some of the first worlds, I will say, that actively made me feel like the world was alive. Characters, well, people were doing things were happening. People were getting into firefights, getting attacked by tigers and Komodo dragons and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's like it actively made me feel like the world was alive. And with the enhanced capabilities that we have now, it essentially more or less allows you just to expand the world. Let's being realistic, you're always in some form of bubble for the most part in a game. Even if it's open world, you're contained with a certain area. There is a point where things stop doing things in like an active sense. Like they may be set to do things subconsciously, or like tickers might be ticking, and it's like,
right.
All right,
they're doing radius.
Right, yeah, but within a certain amount of time, spaces where things are like alive. And I think that those games kind of really pioneered that in the way that we see it now, where like you even see it in Elden Ring. And I'm not going to give all the credit to them, because maybe there was somewhere else that I'm missing, but that's, like I said, that's the most prevalent example I can think of.
They created everything, including difficulty.
But like Elden Ring does, you're getting attacked by random enemies. And yeah, a lot of them are scripted to be in an area, but it's like running across the fucking, I don't even know, with a night, whatever the hell, the knights that come at night, the night riders, whatever the hell those guys are called. Yeah. It's like coming across one of the death birds, coming across a dragon in a field, just running down the road, and there's a convoy of people coming. And in that game, obviously, you go to the bonfire, things reset. So, like, in a sense, like, you get to the point where those guys were coming. So it's not like the Fallout, me running through, the bushes in a fucking Humvee, pulls up with a 50 cal, and then that guy jumps out to try to kill me, and then a Komodo dragon drags him off a cliff. And it's like, yeah, I'm not getting that experience. But at the same time, they do a good job of, if you're just playing the game like a normal human being and not trying to do absolutely everything, so you're not in the same areas 20,000 times, for 10 hours straight, it's like, yeah, you'll have some very unique, interesting experiences, and it makes the world feel actively alive. And I think a lot of open world games are hip to that now. I hate to see when they try to kind of replicate it in a way that's like generic and overly simplified, which ironically enough is where Far Cry kind of went. I don't know, their worlds went from feeling relatively alive to feeling like repeated scripted events.
They lost the plot completely.
Right. And so it's like, it sucks to see them kind of fall from grace in that sense. But I do think that concept that they more or less introduced into the world, I think that is only gotten stronger with the advancement of technology, and and with that, the advancement in AI, just game AI, and not Chat GPT, but just game AI, and just they behave like they know what they're doing. They're a combination of ones and zeros and if and statements, but they've done a really good job of making them feel like they are somewhat sentient thinking things in a lot of
games. Yeah, and that kind of goes into what you were saying about Battlefield and Call of Duty's campaigns, which is very true. I was thinking about that as well when I was playing it. I'm like, and Far Cry especially. Far Cry like really bothers me more than Call of Duty and Battlefield, but it's like, why does like Rainbow Six AI exist and The Last of Us AI exist, and you guys still are just having these guys run from the left side of the monster closet to their post and stand there like targets basically that shoot at me.
Right.
Whereas, dude, I'll run Last of Us 2 roguelike mode or whatever on Grounded, and dude, you are holding your breath the entire time. They are trying to kill you straight up. They are coming to mop you up, even like dramatically from the first game. Like, you look at it and at a glance, it's like, oh, it's the same thing. It's not. Like, it really is not. They are way smarter in 2. And even just to kind of go back to my open world thing, I think if you were to take like Witcher, Metal Gear Solid 5, Death Stranding, Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, whatever, and I'm trying to think. I know there's got to be another one, but like, even let's just say those 5. What?
I said succeed. Stop trying to think.
Yeah.
Just do.
Let's even just take those 5. They're all technically open world, and yet they are all radically different. And then, Red Dead 2. I think that was the other one I was going to say, where you are just committed to what it's like. It's open world because it is supposed to be. It's not open world for the sake of being.
Right.
Which is when it's like, ugh, I am not doing this. Like, it turns me off the most.
Just
like, go to this point and kill these guys, and then it's like, okay, but
there's nothing happening between point A and point B. It, for all intents, is linear. It's like it's a linear game with the ability to be extra long if you have ADHD.
The illusion of freedom,
right?
It's not like, because even something like Death Stranding, it's just, man, Death Stranding is really really getting some love these days, man, because it really is special the more you think about it. But it almost directly solves, because I'm here and I'm trying to get from A to B, and the whole game is happening in between. Whereas Assassin's Creed, let's just say, I'm at A, B is where it's happening. Everything in between is going to be pretty lame. I'm riding my horse. Oh, they took parkour out again. Great. Can't wait to run for across the whole map. Like, this is stupid. And have somebody pop up, hey, Alexios, come here. Ugh, I don't want to do any of that. Same thing with Red Dead. You walk 10 feet and there's a guy trying to change the horseshoe and gets kicked in the face. It's like, get this, loot him real quick, like, whatever. Yeah, I think I'm kind of just rambling about open world stuff being cool, because it can be. It is oversaturated for sure.
Implementation is a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of that is, I think, the subtlety. I wanted to bring up like the rumble and I guess the open world nature, that these improvements on a subtle level make it better. Like when you're doing stuff that doesn't make me think about me doing it is the most impactful to me, because we've reached the, I don't want to say the pinnacle, but we've pretty much peaked in terms of graphical fidelity. So you're not gonna give me a dinosaur texture that's gonna blow my mind. I think we've pretty much gotten to a good texture, a good everything graphically. But if you're giving me rumble that I don't think about, and it's just happening, like footsteps are happening in the controller, or I'm pulling a bow back and I feel it in the trigger, or I'm shooting a gun that is slightly harder to pull the trigger versus the handgun where it's slightly easier. When I'm not thinking about it and I'm just in the game, that's the most impactful for me. Same thing with open world games where I'm just doing things and there's not a checklist like an Assassin's Creed, or I haven't played a lot of Far Cry games, but I'm sure there's checklisty things on that as well.
Game.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Where think something like Ghost of Yotei, where there are some checkboxy things, but it's not apparent. Like you're not pulling up a map and there's things that are getting crossed off as I'm doing it in terms of like a text box. It's just happening organically in the world. That subtle implementation of new features goes a long way, and not something you would necessarily see on the back of a box. It's just we've gotten to a point where these systems are that powerful and the code is that refined where you can just do it. And a side little addition to this is, I think, loading times. From generation to generation, they've got increasingly fewer and far between.
That's actually a huge one. I wish I would have I was thinking about that the other day when I was playing Unicorn Overlord, and I was just it's like start the mission. I started the mission, the fucking mission was started. No, which I'm not gonna act like it's killing me. I was a young lad back in the day of the loading screen, and it's like,
and that being a 2D game, like some would argue, it's a 2D game, so it's not loading that much. But in Ghost of Yotei, I can start that game from it not being on at all and in the game running around in 6 or 7 seconds. And that's on a bad day.
Just pressing X.
Pressing X on the icon, and I'm running around as her in 5 seconds. And it's like 1 second to 1.5 seconds to fast travel in an open world game. Like, it's insane. So subtle features like that where you don't really think about it, like I said, is probably the most impactful in its current iteration.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I just wanted to touch on the haptics because I love haptics to death. I think it adds, like, I will go and because I have like all kinds of PS4 games downloaded, and it's like the first thing I notice every single time I pull the trigger. I'm like, wow, this feels like air now. Whereas I know there's another game that does it really good, but off the top of my head, Resident Evil 4 does it like incredible, dude. It's like as he's running, the left side pulses the right side. It's like ping, 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 ping. And then, like you were saying, pull up the pistol, nothing crazy. And you can feel the trigger, but you pull up a shotgun or a rifle and the trigger's weighted. RPG, it's heavy, and you feel the tension on all of that. That stuff goes. It's pretty much what you were saying. It's, you're taking the next step in it's the feel. What does it feel like?
You're not thinking about it.
Yeah, like Horizon does a thing where I'm pretty sure it does like a haptic when you're in the grass. You can almost feel the grass on the controller, and it's
little tingly type thing.
Yeah, and the fact that it has that much flexibility, it's not just there's vibration, now you're in the grass. It's like, oh no, that is the grass blowing. That is the water rushing. That is, whatever. Like her pulling up the bow has a certain tension, and then there's a different tension depending on what area you're pulling. Like that stuff, that adds a lot, man. Like, and I've always been such a stickler for how does it actually feel to shoot something or punch something or stab or whatever, make contact. Most games don't get it good in all reality. It doesn't really feel good in most games, but haptics is almost like a cheat code now. And it's like,
I think Microsoft's going to put out a controller like that, at least maybe not this generation, but when they put out their last and final piece of hardware, I think they're going to have a controller with some sort of haptic triggers.
What, real quick, didn't they have, are we calling it the wrong thing? What was, because Xbox had something, but it was a different style where the triggers would.
They had their Elite controller where you could stop it, where you wouldn't have to pull it as far in for it to actually register a button.
Half pull, so you could shoot faster.
But yeah, Xbox doesn't have the DualSense haptic rumble in the triggers or the tension triggers or anything like that. There have been rumors that they're working on it, but like, why would you release it at this point in the generation unless you're going to stick with the same controller for the next generation and that'll just be the default one for whatever your next system is? That would be the only reason I think they would release it now. Otherwise, they would just release it with whatever Xbox refrigerator that plays games next generation.
Those poor SOBs over there. Lord only knows what they're gonna do. It is
they don't even
mess. Know. Yeah, no. I feel like we could probably go on and on about this one. I'm sure it can even be brought up again another time.
Just to clarify, I like the haptics. Like, I like them for games, not multiplayer, but I don't like it in the multiplayer. Like, I didn't mind them before, but it's like I don't want that feature on while I'm playing multiplayer games. Last thing I need to do while I'm playing a competitive game is to make pulling the trigger harder.
I think you can turn it off.
I did.
Oh, okay. because most games.
But it just sucks because you can't turn it off in game. You have to turn it off in the system settings. So now, if I want to turn it back on for the any other game or even the campaign, I have to go back in my system. It's a small thing, but it's just
that's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of games have
games. Yeah, just in the options menu.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Battlefield has crazy amount of customization. Maybe just double check it.
I'll give Battlefield a minus on their menuing for that type of stuff. There's stuff in various menu options that I would expect to be in other ones. So you really have to dig into the Battlefield settings to find what you're looking for. If it's not in the most obvious one, which I'd expect that to be in the controller settings, but they might have a vibration setting because they're fucking assholes.
The fix was quick, so I was just like,
subtitles is in controller though, so just in case you were looking for it.
Serious statement.
I think actually the game I was thinking of was Battlefield. I think I like Battlefield's haptics, if I remember right. Yeah, because the LMG just feels thick. That thing feels like a monster when you pull it up. Just letting that thing rip, dude. I did also get another text from the God Emperor, and he said everybody in this party's soft. So, his words, not mine. He specifically said Adrian claims to be a Warhammer fan, but he really ain't about that life. I didn't even know he talked like that.
Pure smoke demon of the Emperor of mankind. I'm down to clown. Absolutely get fucking sticky, icky with that shit.
12:25. God Emperor Adrian ain't about it. I don't know. I'm just reading the text, man.
What a name.
I mean, talking to the Emperor of mankind or claiming to talk to the Emperor of mankind is possibly heresy of the highest order. So you already put yourself on the fucking radar right there.
Oddly specific to have a username called God Emperor. Hate on me, Adrian.
Yeah, right.
Most communication, just vaporizes one's soul. That's like, speak through me, God Emperor. Fuck off. Fucking
couldn't handle God's voice.
And then light emitted from all his orifices, and his soul left his body, and all his flesh was singed like that of leather. It's like, God damn it, dude. Everything sucks here. Yes, literally.
The point.
That's the feeling you get when you open the door in grade school and it was hot as fuck out and it was just blaring off the blacktop, and then just this wave of lava hit you.
Outside recess every day today, guys. Why is the ground wavy?
That's so funny.
The goddamn heat rising off the floor, like, oh my god.
Well, that has been Redacted Party Chat, Case 7, right?
Yep.
We're flowing. Follow us, subscribe, feedback, comments.
End it right there. Follow, subscribe.
Yeah.
So we gave a whole bunch of love to the topic brought up, and we very much appreciate that yet again. But yeah, no, I'm always happy to run my mouth about something. And if somebody else brings it up, it doesn't look like narcissist.
And I also want to call out at ALGI1. Respond back to us. Adrian responded, and we're waiting. I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Calling them out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Live.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we got a bunch of good shorts out there. Fun stuff. Flexing that
More stuff coming.
Creative freedom. Buy that Sam's Cola too.
Oh.
Tell them we sent you.
By all means, we need that delicious Sam's Cola.
Carbonated American beverage at a discount price.
I need that sponsorship. I need to keep my fridge lined with nothing but a drink that screams freedom and affordable prices.
This guy is spitting.
You'd be surprised. I got a letter from them saying if we don't mention Sam's Cola at least once every episode from now on, we don't have a chance. So
we've made it.
They would have to send me a letter to tell me to stop for me to not do that.
Yeah, they wasted an email.
Yeah, by all means. I don't know what they were trying to do. Call that redundant.
Don't you worry. Well, everybody have a great night. Brandon.
Vaughn.
And Adrian.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Toot that thing up, mommy, make it roll. You must bounce on it for count or lock. Wild style.